Hello everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We will give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greater successes, amazing behind the scenes and much more. Hello everyone and welcome to the 15th episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with us from Hawaii, Vicky Durand, author of the newly released book, Wave Woman, The Life and the Struggles of a Surfing Pioneer. This book chronicles the life of her mother Betty, a legendary surfer in the days when women surfers were a rarity. Let's discover more about her mom, her stories and much more. Hello, Vicky, and welcome to the show. Where are you today?
I am in Honolulu, Hawaii.
How is it going in Hawaii in these days of...
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful day. We've had a really nice weekend. You know, today is our holiday, Memorial Day.
Okay.
And so lots of people are going to the beach now. I went yesterday. There's surfing. There's a pretty good south swell. That's what... runs, you know, in Waikiki, Diamond Head, Ala Moana, all the Honolulu breaks. So, yeah, I'm too old to surf now, but I have many fond memories, and writing the book brought a lot of them back. And I don't know whether you know it or not, but so we surfed in the mid 1950s. And that was right. There were only 2,000 people surfing on the island of Oahu. And we were pioneers at the beginning of the renaissance of the surfing movement as we know it today. So I feel very lucky.
Yeah, of course. Actually, you must have amazing stories, but we're going to discover a bit of them during the interview. I hope so. Today, we're going to talk about the book, of course, Wave Woman, The Life of and Struggles of a Surfing Pioneer. That is a book that is talking about your mom, right? And then we're going to talk about surfing, surfboards, quite a lot of stuff. But the first question that we have for you is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
The most important thing I would say now is surfing with, well, first of all, knowing your limits, being strong, being able to hold your breath, and surfing with aloha. There's so many people now at all the breaks that I think surfing with aloha is more important than ever, particularly as it could be a very dangerous sport. And I think giving the right of way, learning safety, not going to the beach, checking your iPhone, putting it down and going to the water. I think when you go to a break, you need to spend some time on the shore looking out and checking for rip tides, checking for how it's breaking and things like that. I think safety is a huge issue now with so many people.
It's different than when you started, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Everything changed. But do you think something changed for the better, or the evolution of surf that you have seen, that you experienced in your life?
Well, in a way, another thing that I think is very important in surfing today, and that's acknowledging gender equity and not the men realizing that they're not the only ones that are out there that can surf these waves, and that women deserve just as much to be able to surf and not be, and particularly in the contests now, to be have equal, be able to go into the contests and have the big wave contests and be able to surf at good times like the men do. Equality in surfing for women is very important, I think.
I agree with you, and I would say quite a lot of time women are even better than men. They are much more, let's say, the style, you know, and on the surf. It's good. It's amazing. And so there are a lot of men that they should just look and learn, right?
Right.
So, I hope we will not be. I think people will agree. I think people must agree. It's. I guess actually I believe that in competition, okay, you can compete to win, but also you can compete to improve yourself and looking at who's doing things better than you or who's doing things differently than you. And
Right.
if you can look in that way, you progress.
Right. And it's always personally getting better.
Exactly.
Your own personal challenge.
Exactly, I agree. Then you can win or you can lose. That's another story. But I think if in that particular occasion you progress, then you achieve something, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
the way I think. I hope you agree.
I do. Of course I do.
Do you remember
That's what keeps surfers surfing. The book has a poem about it that my mother wrote.
what the poem says?
Surfers are a breed of people, a restless group of people who go searching the world for a hot curl. They are besieged with a disease that is incurable. One more wave is never a cure. It is only the challenge of man against the elements, the surf. The bigger the wave, the greater the challenge. Victory leads one on in search of bigger waves, and defeat only means more practice at surfing. How's that?
It's amazing. I think it's very real and actually contemporary. I don't know when your mother wrote this, which year.
She probably wrote that in 1957,
Oh wow! So it's so
long time ago.
nothing changed, huh?
No,
Nothing
no,
changed. This is the amazing story of this sport, right?
yes,
Yeah, okay, there is like a technology that improve the surfboards. There are different kind of shapes. There is different kind of sport. Maybe now with the techniques, but at the end, what is behind the sport? What you said, what your mother said, it's the essence of everything. So,
right.
do you remember your first surfboard?
I don't remember who made it, but I remember my second surfboard was a Pat Kern,
Wow!
the father of Tommy Kern.
And you still have that surfboard or no?
My next surfboard was a Reynolds Yater, and I still have that board. Yes.
Okay, okay. It's good to keep those surfboards. They remind us about the youth days. But unfortunately, most of the people kind of lost or sold or traded or gift away their
Right.
first surfboard, right? So,
Right.
right, it's interesting. So let's go back to the book. So, Wave Woman: The Life and Struggles of a Surfing Pioneer. It talks about your mother Betty, right? Uh,
Right.
can you tell us more about the book? What the stories that the book tells, and why? Actually, before the stories, that maybe I can ask in the next question. Why have you decided to write this book?
Well, I had an amazing mother. She was the best mother ever for me, number one. And we were like, she was a mother, but she was also a sister. So we had a lot of fun together. And she believed she was an adventurer, and she believed that anything exciting was worth trying at least once. Not drugs, but any like sport was worth trying at least once. And she didn't start surfing until she was 40 years old.
Oh,
But before that, she trained for the 1936 Olympics in Berlin swimming. She was a swimmer and a rough water swimmer in Santa Monica, California. But she took up flying at the same time, and she crashed a glider, which stopped her swimming career. But during her life, she broke glass ceilings, finding meaning. She was a dental hygienist, a sculptor, a surfer, a jeweler, a builder, a fisherwoman,
wow!
a potter and a poet, and she led a very inspiring life because as one door would close for her, like in late life, she had macular degeneration and she became blind, but she didn't complain. She just found things that she could do. And when she got down to that she really couldn't do anything because she was totally blind, she said, I can write poetry and I can use my brain to create haiku. And so I think, a lot of it is an inspiration for women and men of all ages to step out of their comfort zone and know that it's never too late to follow a dream. And that we all have gifts, talents, and untapped potential beyond what we think. So she was a progressive thinker. She just thought she could do whatever she wanted to. And Ben Marcus, who was a editor of Surfer magazine, and he was my second editor, described her as a mix of Amelia Earhart, Frida Kahlo, Emily Dickinson, and Esther Williams. She was just an amazing water woman, and it was a story that I just thought I had to tell this story, you know.
Is it a
Uh,
story of resilience as well?
Oh, yes. Yes. She had a lot of challenges. She was born in 1913 in Salt Lake City. And when she was just a few months away from her high school graduation, that she'd lived a charmed life. Her father was a mining engineer and had done very well, but he just before the stock market crashed, he had overbought. He bought on what we call the margin, and it was called back where he needed the money to buy the stock back, and he didn't have the money. So they came and took all their furniture out of the house and took the house.
Oh, wow.
So that made a huge impression on her that actually she really never got over it. She was very careful with money, very careful with credit, because she never wanted anything like that to ever happen again to her or her family. And so that was one thing. And she really loved the ocean. She was a naturally strong athlete. She was very, very strong, and she was a thrill seeker. So she loved horseback, flying, competitive swimming, skiing, different sports. But she always wanted to win. She wanted the first place.
Okay, very competitive.
That goes against what you were talking about it. And so she was on the first Hawaiian team invited to Lima, Peru. Makaha was the home of the first big international surfing contest. There were no other contests, and that started in 1954 at Makaha Beach, and she entered in 1956 and took second place. But Carlos Donier, who had founded the Club Waikiki in Lima, was a judge, and no women surfed in Lima. So he invited them to come down and surf and talk about Hawaii and the surf in Hawaii and boards. And then she won first place down there. So that whole experience really changed her life in a positive way, because the Peruvians loved her and she loved the Peruvians. And they became like, we had a Peruvian family where they came to visit for 40 years, and it was a very long friendship, an important friendship.
Amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah.
Among the stories, the surfing stories of the book, is there one that you particularly love or that has a very special meaning for you?
Yes.
Tell us
Yes.
about it.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the Peru, like when they got there, the Peruvians took the team into their homes and with their families, and they were put up at a hotel and fed and taken care of, and there were parties, and she just had such a happy time. And she was married to my father. They were manufacturing jewelers, but my mother loved to be around people, and my father didn't want to be around anybody after work. And so after 22 years of marriage, she left him and moved to Makaha, which was out, nobody was out there really. And she bought this property, which is an interesting story that's in the book, and built a house and lived there till she was 98. She lived a long life. She lived to 98 and a half years. She wanted to live to be 100, but she didn't quite make it. But so when she came back from Lima, she said, I think, Vicky, if you can win the 1957 Makaha International Surfing Contest, I think we can get a trip back to Lima. So I thought that would be a really good idea. And I'm not particularly competitive, but I wanted to win the contest so we could go to Lima, and we did. And we had a wonderful 6 weeks down there as their guests, and they treated us like queens. Parties, receptions, dinners, and I was 18 years old, and our job was to make surfing look feminine and fun and something that their women wanted to do. So that was one of the highlights of our surfing.
Plus, as you said before, your mother was like your older sister to you. So
right.
Going 6 weeks in a place with your mother was not like a burden as people maybe.
Not at all.
Like some girls at 18 years old, if they have to go for 6 weeks with their mother, they will be like, oh my God, while for you it was a lot of fun.
No, it was not at all like that. And
it shows
I don't know who had more fun. Which one of us? I think we both.
Cool.
Have you been to Lima? Have you ever been to Lima, Peru?
No, I never. But I saw some pictures.
It's a long way from you.
It's a long way, but maybe one day. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, the Peruvians are kind of like the Spaniards and the Italians and the Portuguese. They're very outgoing and a lot of fun, and it was great.
Good.
Very.
We discussed about it at the beginning of the interview, but anyway, let's talk maybe differently now. Before we said about the quality of surfing, right, between men and women, and how do you look at today's woman surfing? From your perspective, that you were there where basically all the woman surfing started, and how do you look at today's woman surfing?
I think it's inspiring. I think it's equality is moving forward slowly. They just passed a bill here that women would be given equality in the contests that lead up to the big to the really big contests. They are starting to let women ride the big waves, the giant waves like 58 feet, like Carlos Burley, and the really big wave riders. Women are entering that field, and I think it's really fabulous. It's just, when I was surfing, the biggest wave we could ever imagine, and Buzzy Trent, he was one of the early Makaha surfers. He used to talk about trying to catch a 30-foot wave or a 35-foot wave. And now to think they're riding these 60 and 70 and bigger foot waves. It's a different sport, totally, but it's pretty amazing in my book. I just had a one-on-one Instagram with Carlos Burley a week before last. It's on my website.
Cool. Cool.
Nazaré. Have you been to Nazaré?
I've seen Nazaré. I really want to go in Portugal. Yeah. You've been there in Nazaré?
No, I wanted to go to Biarritz after Lima, but because when we were down there, we met a Frenchman that invited me to Biarritz, but I never made it. I got detoured here
No problem.
with
No problem.
with marriage and
It's still
children.
a good place to land, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
cool. Do you, by any chance, collect surfboard? Do you have like some surfboard with you, or
I just have one surfboard, my Reynolds Yater board.
okay,
My mother had the Joe Quigg board, and we had a Hobie board, but somehow over the years, like you said, they disappeared. But I hold on to my Reniator board very tightly.
good, good. Um, this book is more than a book about surfing, right?
Right.
Which word you would use for it?
Inspiring.
Yeah.
It's an inspirational, happy story.
I can't wait, to read those stories. Really, it's like just looking at all the comments and all the information that you find online. It looks very inspiring. And what was my question is like is not about surf. It's a personal story of a woman that did make the difference, right?
Yes. And it's a woman who believed that a career was very important and a profession for a woman to be independent. Mother loved men, but she also knew that, at times in her life, she had to rely on her own ability to earn a living when things had happened to the men that were and weren't there in her life. So, have you been to the website? The website has a lot of has pictures of her and videos and wavewomanbook.com.
It's very, very interesting. But let's remind people, yes, wavewomanbook.com. And as well, people, they can follow you in Instagram, right? So
yes,
we're all connected. What are your future plans? Now you released the book, and I guess
I released the book, so I would like to see a lot of, like, this New York Times suggested reading made me happy. I'd like to see lots of publications, and I'd like to have a full feature film made of the book, which I think it would make a great film. And I have been contacted about film and movie rights just this last week. I want to get it translated into Japanese and French and Spanish and Portuguese. So I don't know what other languages, but
it's okay. If you achieve that, it's already okay. Like Japanese, I think will be already a great challenge to translate all in Japanese.
Yeah, I'm going to meet with a translator this next week for Japan.
A lot of projects these are all gonna keep you busy, in the
yes, it's a nice way to age, to have this project after 5 years, and I'm beginning to see my dream come true, and I'm learning that it's never too late to follow a dream. I'm 79 years old.
Congratulations. It's the beginning of a new journey for you, and and why not? If a movie also will come up, that would be amazing.
And an audiobook, and also an audiobook, maybe in 5 months.
Audiobook is also very powerful.
I want the whole world to know this story.
You must share.
$1 million.
More. $1 billion.
Bigger.
Yeah, bigger. But it's not. We should not stop dreaming.
All right.
So, but okay, but let's. It's a lot of work that is ahead of you, but it's a very nice journey. I believe it's gonna be very enriching and hopefully very successful as well. So,
thank you. I know my mother would be very thrilled to think that her story was on the Temple of Surf. She would be.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you for.
We're gonna finish our interview with a short Q&A session, so question and answer. Please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden.
Reniator.
The best shaper of all time, or your favorite one.
Well, I've heard that Dick Brewer is a really great shaper, and I'm not, to be honest, I'm not totally up on all the shapers, and now I can't ride all the boards and all the surf, so I have to rely on what people tell me. And I have a new Brazilian woman friend who tells me that Dick Brewer is really her Dick Brewer. That's what she wrote at Waimea. And she loves it. Looks good, like a good board.
Yeah, it's a legendary surfer. Is
Yes.
Father of shaping.
Yes.
Shape.
Yeah.
Personal question: your favorite song?
There's an Italian song.
Oh wow!
That was popular. Yes, that was popular in when we were in Lima. Oh, Alessandro, and I love it, and I listened to it, and it was the song of the year in Italy in 1960, and I haven't listened to it for a while. Romantica, Tony somebody. That's one of my favorite songs. Tony Bolero, do you know him?
Tony Bolero.
Something like that.
No, I need to go back to my 60 archives.
And when Mother and I were in Lima, we would go to the Hotel Boulevard down below, which was in a beautiful bar, and they played it with violins, and I can still hear it.
Tony Dallara, Romantica. Yeah, I see now.
Yes. How do you like that? That's one of them. I also like Waikiki. There's a beautiful Hawaiian song called Waikiki, and I love that.
But I was thinking
I bet you think I'm kidding when I came up with that, huh?
Italian and you say Tony Dallara, then we will stick with him. Your favorite surf spot?
Makaha.
The best surfer, in your opinion? Actually, let's put it in this way: best woman surfer.
Well, there's so many different kinds of surfing now. So I would say Carissa Moore is one of my favorites for like all around. And I just met the Brazilian Priscilla Guedes. I haven't met any of the women, but she's one of my new favorite friends.
But definitely, now that you're gonna release the book in different languages and maybe going a bit around the world to promote the book, maybe definitely you can ask them to come to the presentation and to bring them along with you, right? It's so important what you're doing. So I think they will be saying yes and participate, especially if there is a surf contest.
Yeah. Well, Carissa Moore blurbed my book, and she's from Hawaii and was going to the Olympics this summer to represent she was one of the women surfers to represent the U.S. And she lives here in Honolulu, and is a really wonderful, very generous, outgoing, and kind and smart person.
Fantastic. It's good to hear that. The last question is a little bit unusual. It doesn't talk about surf. We ask to everybody, is your best relationship advice?
You mean for starting a relationship or
keeping a
relationship?
Or dropping a relationship? I don't know.
Communication. Communication and passion.
Yes, I agree with you. If we were all able to communicate more, I think the world would be much easier in a meeting, in a romantic relationship, but also in friendship or in a business. Say the things right is the best thing, right?
And have the same philosophy. and values.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Thanks a lot, Vicky, for being on the show with us today. And I look forward to talk to you very soon. And I will definitely go and in Amazon and purchase the book today.
Thank you, Alessandro.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!